Welcome to another episode of Choral Arts Initiative Behind the Notes, in which we will conclude our preview of Jeffrey Derus's monumental new work, From Wilderness. This discussion was recorded on March 22nd, the day we were originally scheduled to premiere this piece. And the footage you will see of Choral Arts Initiative performing From Wilderness comes from our last rehearsal together, a week earlier than that. We are excited to present From Wilderness to the world in both its live and recorded premieres as soon as we are all able to be together again. In the meantime, if you would like to help us share this beautiful music with the world, please consider making a donation to us at choralartsinitiative.org. Please stay connected with us via social media and our mailing list, as we will be sharing more performances and interviews with our artists in new episodes of Behind the Notes soon. Now, please enjoy the conclusion of our preview of From Wilderness. So to Brandon, I wanted to ask you, this is a huge project for Choral Arts Initiative as an organization. It's a concert-length work. It brings in all sorts of other instruments and also the recording project at the same time. I wanted to ask you, what spurred your decision to approach Jeff with this commission? And, what have been some of the challenges and maybe some of the triumphs of putting this together?
Yeah, well, the funny thing to that first part of the question is it seems like every season we do something that's bigger and more of a challenge. And every year we find ourselves saying, gosh, this is such a huge project. And what's exciting for me as, one of the leaders of the organization is seeing that we continue to raise the bar for ourselves and delivering for our community and our supporters. But yeah, this is a very huge project. And as for why I approached Jeff, I'll never forget, it was, I think, Jeffrey, jump in here if I'm wrong. I think it was January of 2015. We were just hanging out. I was at the NAMM conference in Anaheim. And I remember Jeff just saying, and I've known Jeff for many years up to that point, and known he's always had a passion for composition. But up to that point, it was mostly writing as a hobby. And so then in 2015, when we were talking, we had a nice heart-to-heart conversation over some delicious rum and cokes, Diet Cokes. And he just said, I really want to do this. Like, I want this to be a part of my career. Like, I love teaching, but I also want to be a composer. And so I remember we just sat down and hashed out, like, all right, here's kind of the plan. And we've got to get you commissions, and we've got to get you XYZ. We've got to get your website up. You've got to get scores out there. And just watching Jeff's career go on a huge trajectory upward. And now he's distributed with Music Spoke. He's had, how many commissions have you had, Jeff? I mean, it seems
About
like
20 now.
yeah, so many. And so, and we had done 2 pieces of Jeff's before. And while I'm proud of the work we did in that time, I knew that we needed to really do something for Jeff. And so then I approached him about this. I think 2 years ago was the initial discussion. And I want to point out, Jeff arrived at this beautiful libretto, if you will, by assembling a variety of different texts and poems and prose and whatnot and quotes. But there were so many iterations that led up to that point. I remember there were many times sitting in a conference room, just throwing ideas literally on a whiteboard, and some we would fall in love with, and then we would text each other the next day and be like, never mind, that was a terrible idea. So many iterations. I don't even want to go into the detail of how many different things we thought about. And so when we finally arrived at this, it was really exciting. We also knew, tracing back to our initial recording, our inaugural album in 2017, that it was time to release something else. And really our focus as an organization is focusing on some concert-length works or extended choral works that are more than just the 4 to 6 minute octavo. And so I kind of approached Jeff with both ideas. And of course he was very excited at that opportunity, but it is a lot of work. And planning is a huge part of that. That's where, I'm the artistic director, but on the backside of that, as executive director, is all of that extensive planning with the dates and times and scheduling and how the instrumentations work and the types of miking we need, working with the producer already to work all those things out. So it is a huge project. As for some of the setbacks, I mean, we're in the middle of one right now, which is unfortunately this pandemic completely derailed our plans. We had to, of course, postpone the performance, which was today, supposed to be today. We had to postpone our recording, which was supposed to take place a month from today. And so we're rolling with those punches, and we're still trying to figure out things. We have to recontract our singers for new dates and times, but we're going to make it work, and it's still going to happen, just not on the timeline that we had initially hoped for.
after hearing so much of this beautiful work and looking forward to being able to hear the whole thing, Jeffrey, maybe how long is the thing in total, the piece from start to finish?
It's just around 60 minutes, so a nice clean hour.
So there's a lot more to hear, in other words.
Yes.
So please keep tabs with our organization as our plans evolve. Our current hope, our very, very dear hope, is to be able to present this in June. But, you know, with the situation constantly being fluid, all we can say is that this is what we are presenting next. This is our horizon right now, and we are constantly working towards it. I wanted just to open it up to everybody here to just share any other thoughts, impressions from Jeff from the very beginning of working on this piece. Was it over 2 years ago now?
Yeah, I approached about the commission 2 years ago, really started figuring out the text about a year and a half ago, and then started writing about a year ago. So it's been in the works. It's
an amazing achievement and undertaking. So again, inviting all of you to just share any little thoughts or sort of big thoughts about this process.
I'll jump in, and I probably should have said something before we just played that last clip from our last rehearsal together, or I should say our rehearsal for quite some time,
right?
Is just to kind of set the stage for what happened at that rehearsal. So we had an emergency board meeting 2 days prior, I believe. I think it was on a Thursday night. And on Thursday, we had already decided we're going to have to postpone this performance. And we decided to not tell the choral artists until Sunday when we met them for rehearsal. And that was not necessarily to withhold information. It's just because during that meeting, we knew we had a lot of planning to do. Our organization really prides itself in minimal communication out, but when that communication goes out, it is incredibly detailed so that there isn't the need to send multiple emails, multiple announcements. So we knew from Thursday to Sunday, we had a lot to figure out. What are the new dates going to be? What's the new venue, if anything, going to be? What are our protocols moving forward? How are we going to assure our singers that safety is a priority? How are we going to assure all of our staff, volunteers, and our supporters that safety is first, and how we're going to work in this new climate? And so we had decided all these things, and then going into Sunday, I decided to start the rehearsal by having basically a 30-minute town hall, if you will, with the choral artists, which are our significant stakeholder, right? Without them, we're nothing. And so told them right at the beginning of the rehearsal, this will be our last rehearsal for quite some time. I think some had suspected because we gave them a heads up that we are going to record this whole thing. And so we told them it's the last rehearsal for some time, told them what our organization is going to do to ensure safety for them and for everyone involved in our organization moving forward, and then kind of opened it up to questions. And, you know, of course, there was a lot of fear on the hearts of a lot of our singers. So we had that discussion, and then we basically said, this is our first rehearsal with the cellists. We're going to go through the cello sections. We're going to record the whole thing, and then we're going to go home. So that's what happened right before you saw the clip that we played for you. And I just figured it'd be important to get that context.
Yeah, and I can say from being there, it was actually the only rehearsal that I was present for. And the feeling in the room, there was just such a desire to put our very best into this day, because we weren't sure the next time we will all be able to be together. And I really felt that coming from all of the singers and everybody there. So it was a special moment to be a part of. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to be able to take this time with these videos to share it with you.
Yeah,
So
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. It was definitely one of the most profound rehearsals I've ever been a part of.
Yeah. That rehearsal, our last rehearsal this last Sunday, it definitely was very powerful. We all just felt so connected to each other and to the piece and to the organization and committed to it. And we just, you could feel the intensity and the focus that everybody had, and just wanting to get a good recording of it, wanting to show all the work that we'd done so far, and show our love for the piece and for Jeff, and just to be able to communicate the meaning, because there's so much meaning in this piece. And the text just really is beautiful, and just connects us to each other and to nature. And so it really was an extraordinary rehearsal, and it sort of was a very interesting bookend to that first rehearsal that was so powerful as well.
It seems appropriate to give you sort of a chance to have the last word, to just share your thoughts about this project so far, and where you have hopes for it going forward.
Yeah, something that Lorraine said earlier is, like, throughout the work, or just the Pacific Crest Trail, the person traveling has to go through many different terrains and different struggles to come out on the other side and getting to that place of beauty and resolution. And it's kind of a weird situation we're all in right now, and it's something that the choir is going through, the organization. We've never had to stop our season, and so this is kind of something that I think charged us that last rehearsal, and I think it will charge us until that premiere and until that recording project. We're all going through something where we can't be as expressive and as artistic as we want to be, and as artists that can be devastating, but it is a challenge and struggle that we're going to get through as an organization and as a family. And I think that speaks volumes to the text that we are singing and the work that we are doing right now. And yeah, I'm very excited for the premiere whenever it happens. It's going to happen, but I'm very excited for it. And I'm very excited for all the listeners and all the audience that will get to hear it via our performance or our album. So we're also very hopeful and excited about it. And it's just postponed for a little bit.